you're not gonna have growth.
So, and when you say street, do you mean just the pavement of streets,
Repaving and-
sidewalks,
yes.
curb, gutter?
We're looking at all of that.
Okay.
Trying to figure in how we're gonna get that done eventually. And right now, we just we collaborated with the school district and we did get the North Street done in front of the school and around the corner.
I
So
saw that, yeah.
yeah, and so little by little, you know, it's a long road because we don't have the funds to just go and say, let's get it done. So we have to work on things like that.
Yeah, one thing that a growth policy can be really useful for is when you go to apply for grants, because then you have that document that has your goals, objectives already laid out.
Right.
Are there any next steps? Do you have a kind of a wish list that you really wish would
Well, I think
happen?
we all have a wish list. It's just finding the funding to get it done. And unfortunately, it's grants for street work and repaving, sidewalk repair and things like that. You just cannot get them. They just don't exist. So we have to work with that.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like me to know, like me to take back to the planning board?
Anything else, guys? Any discussion?
Okay, and I'll leave some business cards with Jan, so
Okay.
you can get a hold of me if anything comes up.
Well, I'm sure when she comes to the meetings, she'll let you know if anything comes up and you can discuss them at the meetings, because I know she's a member, so.
And she's done a really good job. It's actually been very valuable having her on the planning board. Not just saying that because she's here, but it has been good. She can keep us informed on and accurate on what's
Yeah,
going on in Fromberg.
exactly.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, under new business again, resolutions. We're, a resolution 489 to establish the method of holding municipal elections for the town of Fromberg, Montana. Resolution 489, resolution to establish the method of holding municipal elections of the town of Fromberg, Montana, whereas the town may choose the method of holding a municipal election, whereas recent alternatives to holding elections have been available, whereas the town must make a resolution as to the method chosen and deliver said resolution to the county election administrator. Now therefore be it resolved by the town of Fromberg, Montana, that by majority of the vote of the town council, the method of holding municipal elections shall be mail-in balloting. This election will be a mail ballot election.
So that lodge wouldn't run it anymore, is that what this is?
No, it's just,
They just send
it's
it out
always
by
been,
mail.
it's been a mail in for
Right, so
quite a
I
while.
thought it was in district.
What's been a mail?
They just
Mail the ballots out to
call for respective voters and they fill them in.
I mean, there's
Everybody
no,
sign it.
no public election, no,
Well, we don't
No
have
poll
anybody for
voting,
school.
no. Just by mail-in ballot.
I don't like it.
It's been, I guess it's been mailing for a while.
Several years, yeah.
Several years.
Oh, yeah, about 5 years now. I've always gotten mine by mail.
I've never gotten it. Ever.
Are you registered?
Well, you had the
to vote?
choice.
I've voted in every election always, and I've never gotten a mail-in ballot. Just
Because it's
cannot,
not, this is not a general election, first of all,
it's not for city elections either. I've
so.
never received one.
Oh, I've gotten one every year for everything.
It's good for you, but I haven't.
So
Not
I
sure why.
don't think we need mail-in elections.
either we can mail it in Or we can, some of us mail it in, and some of us, we pay the elections board to have people up at the school, and you go to the school, and the town has to pay them to sit there and collect the ballots and take in the red lights, which is
Okay.
probably more expensive than,
It is,
Sending
it's
a
a little
letter to
over
everybody.
$300 to do that.
Well, if this is the way you've been doing it and some of us haven't received any, it's not very effective.
No.
well,
I know that we got
we
a,
probably always had a choice. I know I put my paperwork in, but I have it mailed to me, because I'm not always here to get to go up that particular day and vote. But that's just a
We're
preference some
usually
people
open till 8
have.
o'clock, 8 to 8.
Yeah,
But they call that an absentee ballot, and you have to ask for it. You have, I mean, you have to
Right.
say
Right.
that you're gonna
If
do
you
it.
go, if you go to Red Lodge and you want them to, you want to be an absentee voter, so they mail it to you and everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we haven't had poll elections for the town for quite some time now.
I beg to differ on that.
Me too.
When was the last
We
time we
probably
did poll
paid-
elections? Year before last, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, if we did, we had to hire the people to do it.
probably during the general elections with the presidential votes and stuff like that, I'm not for sure. So, but, I mean, that, the one I copied from was from the last time you had an election, it was a mail-in ballot.
Well, Bill brings up an interesting point. How many of our population are not getting these in the mail and not having an opportunity to vote?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's
That's
true.
a concern.
I got
Yeah, it
an
is.
email from Mackie, the elections officer, and we have 279 voters supposedly through that email, because we have to have that information for our budgets and stuff. So I don't know if that's reflects,
Well, they don't.
The
So
have
what
to
they
write
do,
down.
they would send out letters to everybody that is a registered voter. You get a letter.
If they've requested to have the letter.
Well, if we make it to where everybody has a mail-in, all registered voters, I would think, would get a letter in the mail so that you could fill out and send in.
And when you go up to vote, they make you prove who you are to vote. When you mail it in, Henry J could vote for me.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So it's,
I give my ballot to somebody else.
yeah, let's leave it to where you go up and prove who you are and vote.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of leaving it. They're saying that that's the law. Or that's,
Well,
That's-
then why
No,
is this
no,
the
no,
It's just
law
a
to change it?
resolution to
oh,
decide what, if we want
It
to.
hasn't
we're making
been the
a
law.
decision tonight whether or not to be all mail.
and there's a deadline which I didn't know about until just recently, so, I'll have to call Mackie and find out what to do. 'Cause this isn't
Can we get every single person in Fromberg a ballot?
I can find out
this year?
tomorrow, I can call her tomorrow.
Because if we can't, then we
Can you
can't make
prove
the
that
resolution.
everybody that sends a ballot in is who they are?
That I cannot do.
So,
Unless I watch
think-
them.
I think the Board of Elections actually looks at your signature that you, when you registered
they're
to
not,
vote, and
they're
then
not
your
going to,
signature.
they're not judging signatures.
They're not?
No.
It wouldn't be any different than a mail-in ballot for a national election, Bill,
That is an absentee ballot.
right? But the security wouldn't be any different.
No, but I don't see
They probably
why.
check a percentage. But if there's a deadline,
Yes, I don't, like I said, this is all new to me, so I have not really figured it all out yet. I can call her in the morning and find out what I need to do if you guys don't want a mail-in ballot. And what we need to do, and I'll let her know that we've had problems with people not receiving the ballots in prior years.
so if we're under a deadline and then we have to
And I
choose one
think
way
the
or
deadline
another.
is probably the 13th of October.
I'm not for sure.
I'm not positive either, I'm just saying.
Then we have to call a special meeting to
Right,
do this.
pass a resolution to do a poll vote.
I motion to table this.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to table resolution 489 to establish the method of municipal voting or elections. and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion has
And
passed.
how long are we gonna table it?
Until we find out
We'll find out
tomorrow,
Tomorrow, we'll find out.
when we
again.
find out what the deadline is and what steps we need to take to do a poll vote. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that we're looking at on the agenda is a town policy regarding video of meetings and how we distribute the minutes. Now, Montana State annotated, Montana Code annotated, states that the video recordings or any tape recordings are a aid to the town or to the town clerk only. Legally, we are not required or obligated to give copies of recordings, videos, or any other such electronic equipment that has been taped or recorded on. We're not obligated to provide that to the public. We have had a lot of demands and to have those given out. Montana State law says we are not obligated to do that. The only thing that we are obligated to give out, if asked, are a copy of the written and approved minutes. If we give them out before they're approved, then they have to be stamped draft or non-approved. The point of this being that we are so busy right now trying to get everything else done and trying to get everything else in place with our audit, with our books, with our accounts. We just don't have enough time, because if they want something, they demand it like in, tomorrow or this afternoon or the next day or whatever. And that we don't do compressed discs anymore, and it takes about 4, 5, 6 hours just to put one part of the council meeting on our town website. We do download it on the hard drive, but and if somebody wants to get a copy of it, there's a video right there that Mr. Nottingham supplies to a website not affiliated with the town. If they want copies of that video, they can get it from Mary Lou Pilati. So I would like this, I'm asking the council to approve this policy that we will no longer give out other than the approved written minutes of the town meetings.
Sure.
Anything else that they want, they can come in and sit down and look at it.
So
in the
any
city hall.
approved minutes are basically a month behind.
Right,
Yes.
but if they want a copy of the minutes, then we can stamp them either draft or non-approved, and still they can have a copy of those.
They're not approved minutes.
No,
Right.
as long as they know they're not approved and that
Right.
they're not unofficial documents,
Yes,
and that they have no bearing until they are approved.
I don't think we should be handing out
And the only reason is,
recordings, visual or audio of our meetings.
and
well, we
that's-
cannot, by law, we cannot say, you can record this meeting on
They
your
can come
phone,
record it, but we
or
don't
you
have
can
to do
record it on video if you want to. We cannot, Montana Code Annotated says we cannot bar the press from videoing or
but
recording our
it
meetings.
states that, that it's for, if it's for my memory purpose only,
Right,
it does not have to be made as it, the council has to make it a public record. If you make a resolution saying that any videos that myself, the clerk, does is not a public record, then we don't have to hand it out as a public record. And that's all I'm getting at, is to put it on our website. It's buffers forever, takes forever to watch it, and so it's really hard to do it that way. As soon as I get everything caught up, and we'll look at updating a little bit more our website so that it's not as old-fashioned, but.
I'm just saying because of time constraints and
constraints
everything
and
else
stuff
that
like
we
that.
have to do.
And you got,
know.
and show, and just to correct you on one thing, is that everybody's been very, very, very good about waiting to get the information that they need when they ask for it. I've got, papers out that they sign and send for them, but right now it's been, like I said, it's been a little hectic with budgets and all that stuff. And there's people that are still waiting for the material they want, but I'm just saying that they have been very, very nice and very, very patient about waiting to get that material. Nobody's not demanding everything ASAP, but, you know, they do need to have it at a decent time, and sometimes it just doesn't happen that way with everything going on.
Is there anything about a conflict of interest between the council recording the meeting and handing it out to a third party?
Not that I know of.
What do you mean a conflict of interest? Okay.
Well,
If a third party wants
some
to
of these
video
other
this
parties are,
meeting,
you know,
It comes under law
should the council
2-3-2.
record it? If I record it and give it to somebody else, is that a conflict at all? I can record it and hand it out to whoever I want.
As long as you let them know that it's not an official. Right.
See, as Jan pointed out, if Jan was the one doing it, okay, to refresh your memory, and if the council were to say that's an official recording, then it would become public
Unofficial.
information and have to be produced if it was requested. Now, the statute says you can make it unofficial, and that what they're entitled to when they make that request is only the written minutes, okay? So I think what Jan's saying is, rather than a policy, why don't you, just for the next meeting, have a resolution ready that says these are the unofficial, it's unofficial, only to aid in producing the final minutes, and it is not going to be produced for.
It's not available to the
Right,
public.
exactly. I'll help you with writing.
Okay.
And that actually falls in with the law.
So let me ask you
Yes,
this.
that follows the law.
Yes.
if there's a third party that asks the council to record the meeting, are we then
No,
in any way bound to do that?
no,
So we could shut off those recordings right now?
well, this isn't your recording.
Whose is it?
That's my this is my recording
Okay, what
for
about
my,
that one over there?
That is mine.
Okay,
He can do that.
he can.
Anybody in the audience can do that.
Okay.
They can
It's
record on
private.
their phone or video
Okay.
or whatever.
And anybody in the audience could go to that person and say, I'd like a copy. It's up to them, it's between them.
Okay.
It's when you sanction it as a council, or sanction Jan to do it as an official recording of the council meeting. Then it becomes discussable.
As far as I
or
know that
produced.
recordings taped or otherwise, videoed or otherwise, have never been.
Well, how long does it usually take until the minutes are written out after a meeting?
probably till the very end, depending on the month, because it's been, that's my, sometimes, it's just really hard to get to them when there's other things to do. But I don't, have them done by the meeting time. And, but as soon as I get better at things, it'll get faster, but, it takes there's a learning curve still to do the billing and, the meetings and stuff like
The
that.
budget.
The budget, and there's a lot more, and I don't have the help, the unofficial help that the last clerk had. From my understanding, she had a lot of help from the public works people and the last police chief doing a lot of her stuff, so,
Yeah, Ralph always did all the minutes.
so it's just, and like I said, once I get more familiar with what I'm doing every month, it'll be faster. 10 waiting time.
Well, I think we need to make sure the resolution follows the law, follows that particular law.
So basically, we're just tabling until next meeting till,
We have a resolution in place.
my motion, we table this until next month's meeting to get it written up correctly.
Second time.
We vote? Yes, we have a motion to table the, policy to, regarding council minutes, video and recording, until the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mrs. Melcher is not here, so, again, we'll go to Jeremy for, an update on the Tomahawk property. We have gone out and measured
Yeah, that's also
the
been
property
ordered.
line. The easement is, for the, new line is on its way. Andrew told me about 2 to 3 weeks.
When did he tell you that?
He told me that, in fact, I should have just printed out a copy of the email for you, last Wednesday,
So this Wednesday will be 1 week.
yeah.
So
and
we
it'll
should
be
have that by,
first weekend of October, somewhere in
we'll
there.
have it by the next meeting?
I'm not sure, he just said he would see if we could get it within 2 or 3 weeks.
Whatever.
Let's try to press him to get it before the next meeting and then we
Well, it
can.
has to go through 5 different offices in Helena, so there's where the holdup is, that's the rub. It has to go through, you know.
What came about with Mike, then I guess, Beeper? Is everything good on his?
I have never heard anything from him, and that's why I applied for the highway, the easement on the highway, so that we could just go ahead and get this done. And I haven't heard a word from Mr. Beekler about what his demands are, what he wants,
Well, it sounds
anything like
as,
that.
sounds as though you've had more
I've
verbal
left him-
communication with Mike than we have. Oh,
I think he was waiting for a phone call.
he's had
I
several.
called him 5 times, and he has not replied,
I don't know.
so. So I did go ahead and I got a hold of Andrew Harmon with DOT, and that he is pushing this easement through as fast as he can. So I'm looking at maybe 3 weeks. Maybe a little longer, but I'm looking at 3 weeks.
And then we're looking at,
And then we will trench
Where's
and
the-
stub in the water line
and we're gonna.
to the property line,
We're gonna
that's as
come
far
off
as
of the
we're
middle
on.
of the street there.
right? We're coming off of the main, and we'll make the street cut to the main, expose the main, tap, and then we will stub in the water line to the property line. When they get ready to hook up to the property line and they get all of their stuff
And which property line? That's right there in the Hickler's.
right, right. The rest of it is private property. And they're gonna, and Mrs. Melker has already said that she has her people in place and she's ready to go, and they will do the construction and all the design and everything from the property
On her
line
end.
to the other end. Now, we will have to look, Jeremy, if you would, we will have to look at the curb stops that are there between the storage area and the fitness center. Because if we might have to move one of those curb stops or take one out, put a new one in closer to the actual residence. So as soon as we get the other information and the easement from the highway department, then we can, look at trying to get that done, and we'll work with Mrs. Melker to see, you know, where we're at
Are we
with
gonna
that.
waive the charges for the hookup,
We mean waive the charges.
for the new service?
New hookup.
I mean, there's
We're
gonna
gonna
be
be
difference
sharing
I do
She will be
tap.
paying, yeah, but she'll be paying for the meter and everything and the.
On her side.
All that on her side, yeah.
Okay.
We will stub it into the property line.
Okay.
So we're gonna pay
We'll pay for
for
the,
the
it'll be,
asphalt repair and everything.
right. We'll have to cut the street, that's just a given, we've had to do it before. And, so we'll have to cut the street to the main, we'll have to tap the main, and then we'll bring the line down to the property line from the main and stub that in, so that when she's ready to go, we're ready to go. All she has to do is,
And she's not gonna pay new hookup fees, or, so we're not gonna recoup any of these costs.
well, she'll look at the table of fees, and Jan will tell her what she has to pay us in order to do that.
Which is pretty, we had never redone the table of fees.
No, and we're gonna have to look at
So
that
we're
really
gonna
seriously
Eat a
before the
great
end of
big
the year.
chunk.
So another thing on old business, did we ever hear back from the people that wanted to do the festival out in the orchard? Like whether they got a hold of the church or the school?
We've got a hold of the church,
They
Yeah.
got to the
and they're
church.
good, as far as the school, I don't,
They never contacted me.
the school, and I will give them a call and stuff, and
They can't run it at the route they have going.
so.
They can?
He picked up all those, concrete blocks from where we did the paving,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and he put them all out there in between the storage building and the lobby.
So they have to jump over them.
So you have about a 4-foot path to go through, and there's rebar sticking up.
So, and they,
It's not a safe route.
Okay.
Also, there's a volleyball game on that night, so there would be no
on Sunday,
parking that afternoon, evening.
and that's one thing that they were supposed to do, you guys approved it,
Yeah, that's just
but they
check.
were supposed to follow through with the
She
school.
said she had an alternate route, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So I will call them tomorrow and just let them know, you did approve, the waiver for the church, and then you approved the event, as long as they went through the school and stuff, so, I will call them and make sure
Kate
that,
said that they had approved it, the church had approved it. so.
yes.
Mhm.
So that the waiver went through and stuff like that, as far as the event itself and the race, and coincide with school activities, that's one thing they haven't done yet. Cause it's like, I think it's 2 Saturdays that they have games in Fromberg when they have the,
Right.
so Sundays is not gonna be a problem, so it'll be those
The
2
run
Saturdays.
is the only thing you have to
Yeah,
be doing. Let's
and
see,
stuff, but
aside from the
I will call them
game,
tomorrow, make
it's
sure,
just not practical to try to run them through the blocks.
Yeah.
and they have an alternate route, so I will let them know tomorrow that they'll have to come up with an alternate route and still get a hold of the school.
Okay.
And that alternate route will probably involve the sheriff's department to come and.
No, cause they have all that.
Yeah, they have the
They-
backhoe and all that.
They
mapped
have
out.
all that mapped out, and they have all their committee, they have their stations and
For
everything
their
like that,
safety
yeah,
already.
for safeties and stuff, so.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a zoning permit for garage for David Grace. Lives over on 301 Third Avenue, and he bought the property that used to belong to Ted Ovick. And he is wanting to put in a pole barn or shop back there. It's gonna be for his own use, 28 by 40 by 10.
Yeah.
And he did bring in all this paperwork. I don't know if anybody's been over there and looked at it. He's got, what, like 3 acres back there, and it's gonna be pretty close to the middle of that lot in the back.
He's the one who wanted to put in the sawmill.
Yeah, then
Yeah, and then
he's
decided not to.
Not to. He is out of town for 3 weeks, and I told him that if he put in the paperwork, you guys may just table it until, next meeting, with you guys, cause you like to have a visual of where everything's at. And he said his paperwork's pretty good, so. And
I
I
think
said, well,
it's gonna be right directly south of his house.
it's gonna be on that empty lot, is basically, was what my
Between him
understanding.
and,
Or yours. Jean Real.
no,
Looks like between.
South.
Between him and, between him and
Vargas.
Vargas's house,
Between
yeah.
him and Vargas.
Yeah, and he still has some things to work out with Mr. and Mrs. Vargas with their property line there.
Yes.
So they don't know their exact property line yet?
The fence is, what was it, 9 feet onto his property?
That
So,
right out the gate throws a fight. I mean, granted, he's got plenty of room by the easements we have in place,
Right.
but
and he has,
rather than we go allow something like this, can we just let them put it theirs, I would say. But I mean, his easements, cause it's just 15 feet off line, he's got plenty of room.
yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's got plenty of room there.
You got one, Tim?
So I think what he's just wanting us to do is to look over the paperwork tonight.
He would like to have it voted on tonight, and I told him that that may not happen because our council likes to have a visual of exactly where everything's going and things like that. But this is just so that you have your opportunity to take a look at it on paper first.
Right. Well, I've been
So
over there
it's,
and looked
I told
at
him
it,
it's
but
totally
it's
up to
up
the council how they
to
want
look
to do
at
it.
Well, Ted's house is here,
Mm-hmm,
right to the south of that, between him and Vargas, 64 feet off his fence.
He felt his paperwork was good enough to vote on, so.
So, pretty this back, the house is here and this is next month.
The house is here. Only
This
first.
is north. So we're going this way.
Let's see, Third or Lover Lane.
And that's not Lover's Lane, that's Third.
well, the house faces Third Street.
And then what's the one that runs down where we're past Ruth's place? Is that
Lover's Lane.
Lover's Lane goes all the way around?
Mm-hmm.
So this is right up next to his house.
Yeah, yes. His house sits on this 2B.
Which is
and
over in the
directly
corner.
south would be 2C.
Right. The house sits up on the corner of Lover's Lane, so if you're looking north on your page, Bill, where his garage, full garage is, it's 230 feet from the road, which is Lover's Lane, or his property line. And his house sits right there on the corner of 2B.
His house is a long way from the corner.
Well, it's about 110 feet off of Third Street, if even that. I don't even think it's that far off. I think it's
Yeah.
closer to 80 feet.
The house is here. Oh,
So what are the setbacks for something like that?
Should be, 'cause it should be.
It's 15
Well, it's always, it's 15 feet
for
from the
accessory
property
buildings,
line.
this would be an
and-
accessory building.
Yeah, 'cause this, you have some